Ariel. So starting with your image of the pressing of the wine, it's so funny because I have this like, didn't we just look at this last week? But we looked at the step before this last week. We looked at the separation of the grapes, and here we're looking at the actual pressing of the grapes. So it is a different image, and it does have a different feel to it. So as we're looking this year at 18 millimeters, so really wide angle again, f3.5 at 1/320th of a second. So in our dream world, let's see if I can make this smaller. There we go. In our dream world, we get to tell our family members when they're allowed to press the wine so we can have the best light. But here you're not quite able to do that because you have that bright light coming in from the background. And that bright light, as it hits this subject, as it hits the wine barrel or the wine press here, as it hits him, that's working really great. But what's not working great is where it's hitting the backside of your subject. It doesn't look like it's getting blown out there, but as it's hitting here, this brightness at the bottom pulls my eye to the bottom of it pulls my eye to the buckets into the back of his legs, where this is what's really important, right? This is the important aspect of it, where his face is, he's looking down. That's the most important aspect of it. But I get pulled away by those bright areas. So I'm guessing you took more than one image here, and I'm wondering if any of those images don't have that bright light or just focused on this guy as he's pouring in, I'm assuming the grapes that were just sorted into this press. So I think that would work much better than here as my eye continues to go down to this bright area, the back of his legs, the back of his shirt, and these buckets. Really interesting, like family tradition, right? Like this is so interesting for us. We just want to make sure that we're focused where you want us to be focused on. Also watch that cropping into the bottom of the buckets. His foot and the side of this bucket is a little bit rough. I can see that you're at 18 millimeters, so you could be pushing as wide as you can get, but you might be able to just step outside of the garage and photograph into the garage in order to get this. And then this image is much more successful regarding the composition. You have three subjects here, your son, your husband, and then I'm guessing like a cousin. And they're all evenly spaced out and move our eye throughout this subject. The rustic barn in the background creates this really nice atmosphere here. It's in the middle of the day, so the light's a little bit harsh, but it's not creating hard shadows on anyone's face. Your husband's facing away from the sun. This kid is as well. And then your son just has it like on the side of his face, but not really distracting. So it's a really fun image to move around. And then you have this healing stone, you said, in the center. And it feels like this just belongs in your yard or something. It feels like this is a family space, even though you said this was at a pumpkin patch. It feels very believable that this is part of your personal space. So I think this image works really well with your series. And I've mentioned before the attraction that I have towards these little things that tell us about your family, and the Patriots come up a lot in here. So seeing the jersey and the hat on the kid, I think that's one of those things that just as you're flipping through, you start to notice the repetition of. So I really appreciate that part. But this image is for sure a keeper for your portfolio. And the other image, I would just be curious if you have a contact sheet to look through of other shots from that day.